Apple, the company that changed the world. Imagine a company that was started in a small garage with almost no money. A company that was once on the edge of bankruptcy. A company that fired its own founder and then invited him back to save everything. Today, Apple is one of the most valuable companies in history. But success wasn't built on luck. It was built on vision, relentless innovation, and one man who refused to think like everyone else. Welcome to Mr Finspire, where business becomes a story. This is the incredible story of Apple. The Garage Dream. Travel back to California, 1976. Personal computers were still a dream for most people. Computers were huge, expensive, and built mainly for businesses. But two young men believed something different: Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Working from a small garage, they imagined a future where every home would own a computer. It sounded impossible, but history would prove them right. Their first product, the Apple I, was simple compared to today's technology. Yet it proved one important thing. Ordinary people wanted personal computers. The garage had become the birthplace of a revolution. Building a revolution. Apple wasn't just selling computers, it was selling an experience. Beautiful design, easy to use, technology for everyone. While competitors focused on technical specifications, Apple focused on people. Then came the Apple II. It became one of the world's first successful mass-market personal computers. Sales exploded. Investors noticed. Apple grew faster than almost anyone expected. The impossible dream was becoming reality. The fall. Success can sometimes create new problems. As Apple grew, internal disagreements also grew. Steve Jobs was brilliant, but he was demanding. Perfection became an obsession. Eventually, the board made one of the most shocking decisions in business history. Steve Jobs, the man who founded Apple, was forced to leave his own company. Imagine creating your dream, only to watch it continue without you. For Apple, this decision would change everything. Without Steve. After Steve Jobs left, innovation slowed. Competitors caught up. Microsoft's Windows became increasingly popular. Apple launched many confusing products. Sales weakened. Profits declined. The company that had once inspired the world was now struggling to survive. Many analysts believed Apple's best days were over. Some even predicted bankruptcy. The future looked uncertain. Fowler became Hess' greatest teacher. Leaving Apple wasn't the end of Steve Jobs' story. It was the beginning of his greatest lesson. Instead of disappearing, Jobs started a new computer company called Next. The computers were beautifully designed, powerful, years ahead of their time. But they were also expensive. Sales remained disappointing. From a business perspective, Next wasn't a huge commercial success. But behind the scenes, its technology was becoming incredibly valuable. At the same time, Steve Jobs made another decision that almost nobody noticed. He purchased a small animation studio from filmmaker George Lucas. The company was called Pixar. Back then, few people believed computer animation could compete with traditional movies. But Jobs believed in talented people, not just products. Years later, Pixar released Toy Story, the world's first fully computer-animated feature film. It became a global sensation. Steve Jobs had proven once again, innovation often looks risky before it looks obvious. Was falling apart. While Steve Jobs was building new companies, Apple was losing its direction. The company released too many confusing products, different models, different names, no clear strategy. Customers became confused. Competitors became stronger. Microsoft's Windows-powered PCs spread rapidly across the world. Apple's market share kept shrinking. Sales slowed. Profits disappeared. By the mid-1990s, many experts believed Apple wouldn't survive much longer. Some newspapers openly questioned whether the company would go bankrupt. Apple was reportedly only months away from running out of cash. The company that once inspired the world was now fighting simply to stay alive. It needed a miracle. The comeback nobody expected. That miracle arrived in 1997. Apple made one of the boldest business decisions in history. It bought Next. The purchase wasn't really about computers. It was about bringing Steve Jobs back. At first, Jobs returned only as an advisor. But very quickly, he took control. The first thing he did surprised everyone. He didn't launch dozens of new products. He did the opposite. He eliminated them. Jobs simplified Apple's entire product lineup. Instead of trying to build everything, Apple would build only a few products, but every single one had to be exceptional. This simple strategy changed everything. Jobs believed, focus is more powerful than doing more. Around the same time, Apple announced an unexpected partnership with Microsoft. The two companies had been fierce rivals for years, yet Microsoft invested $150 million in Apple. Many people were shocked. But Steve Jobs understood something important. Sometimes, saving a company means putting ego aside. It means making the smartest decision, not the most emotional one. That decision gave Apple valuable time it desperately needed. The product that saved Apple. In 1998, Apple introduced the iMac. It looked nothing like the boring beige computers people were used to seeing. It was colorful, elegant, simple. It felt friendly. People didn't just buy the iMac because of its technology. They bought it because it made technology exciting. Sales exploded. For the first time in years, Apple was profitable again. Confidence returned. Employees believed again. Customers trusted Apple again. The company had escaped disaster. He wasn't trying to save, wasn't satisfied. He wasn't trying to save Apple. He wanted to reinvent it. And the next product would change not only Apple, but the entire music industry. The iPod Revolution. In 2001, Apple introduced the iPod. Thousands of songs in your pocket. At that time, listening to digital music was frustrating. Different devices, complicated software, poor user experience. Apple solved all of those problems with one simple idea: make everything work together. Then came iTunes. Buying music became easy. Managing music became simple. Apple wasn't selling an MP3 player. It was creating an entire ecosystem. That ecosystem became one of Apple's greatest competitive advantages. The iPod transformed Apple into more than a computer company. It became a consumer technology brand loved around the world. But Steve Jobs had an even bigger dream, a dream that would completely redefine the smartphone.